What's up? What's up? What's up to all my future millionaires out there? We have someone that you would really enjoy listening to today. We have Chad Jones with us today, who is a mother, an author, and an avid traveler, passionate about empowering women to prioritize self-care. She is a transformation coach as well as an expat coach. So we all know that a time may come where we need to get the hell out of the United States of America. So you may want to buckle down and listen up to what she has to say. Good afternoon.
Hello there, Rashad. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I want to welcome you to the show. I've never had an expat coach on. I'm very interested. Um, I've actually booked a trip to Bali for September, and I am one of the people who would like to get as many stamps as I possibly can on my passport. But I'm also thinking about maybe a dual citizenship somewhere.
Okay.
So you're perfect. I know there's plenty of other people thinking about it. I see it all the time on the, TikToks and the YouTubes. So yeah, let's get into it.
All right. I'll be glad to help however I can. I've been doing this for a little bit now. I was at the beginning of the whole Black travel movement. I moved abroad to Korea in 2000, at the end of 2008, and I loved it. And I have made a career out of it, but I've also just learned to really take travel to a whole nother level. It's not just travel for me anymore. It's being able to immerse myself in the culture, but also be able to take things in. And now that I have a child, and it's a whole nother experience. So
Got it. Got it. So 2008, let's go back there. 2008, you just woke up one day and said, I want to travel. I'm going to go live in another country or fill in the blank.
so in 2008, what actually happened was I lost my job. I was downsized. I was a marketing coordinator, a regional marketing coordinator for a dental management company. And I lost my job on the brink of a big move. So I was moving from Nashville to Charlotte, moved to Charlotte, got settled, and that's when I decided to take coaching seriously. I was like, I've been teetering with whether I should be a coach or not. So I went and enrolled in some coaching programs. I enrolled in an emotional intelligence coaching program as well as a life coaching program. And at the end of that, I was like, okay, what's next? Now I got to market myself. And I just was exhausted. I was tired. And I kind of finally took the time to just be, right? And I sat on my couch one day and I remember sitting there saying, God, I just want to see the world. That's what I want to do right now. And I went to sleep and that was it. And literally I woke up about 2 hours later. It was a nap. And I was like, let me go check my email and do some things and like send out resumes and, try to get this thing moving. And I had an email from a recruiter that had a position in Japan. And they sent me the information and was like, hey, we'd love to actually no, that's not true. It was in Korea. And they basically was, selling the whole, come work in Korea. And I was like, I went through the whole thing. And the only thing I really knew about Korea was the Seoul Olympics, right? And so I'm like looking at this and I'm like, people do this? What? This is interesting. And I deleted it. I went through everything. And because I just was like, why would somebody send that to me? That's not my expertise. I'm in marketing. I open up businesses. That's not what I do. So and the position was for teaching. And so I was like, yeah, that's not for me. The next day, and this is how the universe works for me. The next day, my girlfriend called. She said, "Sit down." And she was in Nashville. And she was like, "I want you to sit down because what I'm about to say, I really want you to take serious. You think I'm playing?" I was like, okay, here we go. So I was like, I'm sitting down, what's up? And she was like, well, I applied to go teach in Japan and I want you to go with me. I said, why would I be doing that? Like, what am I doing in Japan? She's like, well, you're gonna be like my spouse. And I was like, what? She's like, no, you're gonna teach too. We gonna just go see the world. And I was like, man, send me the information. And I applied, and the recruiter called me 2 days later and they said, okay, here, can we do an interview? I said, sure. We did the interview. They said I got accepted. She sent me the information. But when she sent the information, she said, I don't have any more positions in Japan. So I have positions in Korea. Would you be interested? So then I kind of stepped back. I was like, the first thing was Korea. This is Korea. Obviously, God trying to send me to Korea. Let's go. And so I said, sure. She sent me the positions. And like in 10 days, I started moving. I had to do all this paperwork to get my visa, yada, yada, yada. And so I had got all that done in probably about 3 or 4 days. And then she started sending me like, here's, when you can actually move, we'll have you moved by, it's like May 15th or whatever. And at that time, we're talking about March-ish. And so I just start putting everything together so that I can move. I packed up all my stuff, put it in storage, went back to Nashville, waited, and then I went to Korea.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So the universe answered. You put
It
it out
did.
there and received an answer like immediately.
Imme- and that's why I don't play. When I want something, I know what I want and I'm very clear about it. And I put it out there and then it just conspires to work with me. And so that's what happened.
That's what's up. Like that's the meaning of faith. Just, kind of know that it's going to happen.
Yeah, and I didn't know how, right? And I think that's where a lot of people get messed up, especially in manifestation. I have a whole journal about manifestation, one of my books. But a lot of times people try to force the situation because they ask for what it is. And all you have to do is know what you want. The how is not your
Mhm.
business. That's God's business. And a lot of times people are trying to finagle the how. Okay, how am I going to do this? What do I need to move here? Do that? And that's not how this works.
Right.
You have to allow it. You're still working in tandem, but you have to allow the process to work. Ask for what you want. Be clear about it. One of my friends says it's like going up to a fast food restaurant and ordering, right? And then getting to, you're waiting in line, maybe it's a couple people in front of you, and then changing your mind and saying, maybe I want, lobster. Well, you
Right.
at Burger King, they don't have lobster. So if you want lobster, now you're gonna have to go to a whole nother restaurant, reorder, and wait again. And in that process, if you keep changing your mind, the universe is like, okay, well, let me know when you're ready. And
Right.
then when you are ready and you are clear about what it is you want, okay, I want lobster, a baked potato, and a salad, then now the order goes in. Now, it may not come out exactly like you want it or like you envisioned it, but you're going to get what you want. So you just got to place the order and be specific about it.
Wow. That is I've been speaking to a few manifestation coaches and it's like having a superpower. If people just, and like I like to say, we heard a lot of cliches growing up and stuff like if you believe you can achieve things of
Mm-hmm.
that nature is 100% true. But you have to have faith behind it. You have to know. And I love the example that you just gave. So let me ask you this. Do you run with a circle of friends who are travelers, manifestation gurus? Are these the people that's in your circle?
I would say most of my people are I would say we the woo-woo plan, right? Most of us are definitely spiritual people who believe in the power of manifestation. And then a lot of my friends are travelers. Uh, I tell people, I've been to 28 countries, but I'm the like rookie of the crew. Like I have friends who've been to 100 countries.
Oh
And
wow.
just interviewed a young lady who I know from Nashville who has been to 56. Actually, she just got her 56 stamp last week. And so I have a group of women on Facebook. It's about 6,000 women who are all international, who are expats. Last time we surveyed, it was about 32 different countries. I'm sure that that's been many years ago. So I'm sure that that has expanded into much more countries. But yeah, I think when you are into something, you have to be surrounded by the people that believe what you believe or want what you want. Otherwise, it's you're not going to start getting the things that you desire to have, and you need to have that level of influence.
Yes, yes, yes. I believe so as well. With that being said, are you in charge of the Facebook group that has the 60,000? Oh
So
man,
it's 6,000. So
but 6,000.
it's about 6,500, I think, right now.
So you have turned your lifestyle into a business.
Mm-hmm.
Life's a vacay,
It
website,
is.
blog, podcast. You have the Facebook group. So are you monetizing all of this as well? Well, I guess if it's a career, you actually are.
Well, so I wasn't strategic at the beginning because at the beginning it was a fluke. It was just like, uh, I'm gonna start this blog, right? And then I'm gonna get some bloggers and then we're gonna blog. And we're just gonna let people know because again, it's the beginning of the Black travel movement. This is it was only probably one or two other people doing it. And then it's just started to grow, right? Because remember, Facebook, this was like the beginning of Facebook. Facebook would have only been in outside of the colleges for about 2 or 3 years at that time.
Right,
And
right.
so, yes, I'm in the process of monetizing. I'm shifting my brands because I was just doing expat things. I'm an intercultural. My master's is in intercultural communication, so I work with a lot of intercultural companies, and that's where I really had started to move is with Fortune 500 companies that are sending people abroad. So I did their trainings, and that's where I was really getting my money from. So I really wasn't focused on the group or trying to grow in social media. I was in corporate America still, even though I was a consultant. So yeah, so now I'm shifting my brand. I have Life's a Vacay podcast, which has a website. I interview just like you, most people who are living on purpose and they are doing different things. Like it's not just travel, it's about living on purpose and maybe taking your side hustle and allowing that to be part of your lifestyle. It creates an opportunity for you to get uh, financing, but you're also doing something you love to do. And so it's really about blurring the lines between work and play. So when I live in Mexico right now, and I have opportunities to go to the beach if I want to. I have opportunities to go sit at the cafe, whatever it is. And I remember a girlfriend telling me, Todd, what did you do yesterday? Or she asked me that. And I said, I went to the beach. I, went to this coffee house. I, had me some fish, da da da. She's like, oh, so you had a mini vacay. I said, girl, my life's a vacay because
Yeah,
it really was like, and I mean, it
right.
still is, but it's really about waking up, being on purpose. I love travel. I love helping people. I love being at the beach. I can go to the beach and still make money, right?
Yeah,
I can do a podcast from the beach because all I have to do is have internet, and you got some Wi-Fi, you got a computer, you're connected. And so when I started looking at my life differently and started being intentional about I want to work with people who also have the same desires that I have, where nobody wants to go to work for somebody else and clock in and spend all their time there and then come home and be able to give a little bit to their family.
Right.
And so I had a small child. I wanted to be able to connect with him most of the day and then be able to do something I love to do. And so I kind of married them all together. So it's been a journey.
It sounds like it. Sound like it's been a fun journey. The fact that you've learned a lot. You say 28 countries you've been to?
I've been in 28 countries.
Okay, so I did see, I think on one of your Facebook posts, you mentioned DEI and how that has maybe shifted your way of thinking as far as it's concerned. Can you touch on that a little bit? Just like seeing 28 different countries, knowing where you come from, and where exactly do you come from? City and state.
So I was born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay. So from Omaha, Nebraska to 28 different countries, interacting, seeing all of these different people interact, treat each other. What are your thoughts on like DEI?
So I am a certified diversity and inclusion professional. Um, but shortly after I got certified, and because I used to manage the diversity and inclusion for a nonprofit organization. And what I would see is the different things that were happening in the organization. And one thing I've always been is an advocate. I'm an advocate, hands down. I don't stand for injustice. And so it's easy for me to be in that space of diversity and inclusion. However, working for corporations in America, and I'm going to say this in, is that a lot of organizations speak about diversity and inclusion. A lot of them don't act in diversity and inclusion. And what does that mean? It means that it's great if, you give lip service to we hire this many, you know, people of color, we have this many women, we have these sets of things going on, but yet when the people are interviewed, they don't feel any sense of belonging. They don't feel a sense of community at the workplace because the systems that are in place are not for you, right? And so I've always had a problem. And in that particular position, it came a time where I had to speak up for the people. And it wasn't really received very well. And so they found a way for me to leave. And that's fine with me. But because at the end of the day, I go to sleep at night knowing that the work I do is not separate from who I am as an individual. So diversity and inclusion is part of who I am. I'm a Black woman. Most cases I have represented as the only. And that's a hard task because they feel like when you are an employee of an organization and you are that one person that you speak for all of the people who look like you, and that's unfair, right? But then once I started to get into intercultural communication, which is just another aspect of diversity and inclusion,
Right.
it's just how we speak, how we're talking, how we're interacting, the cultural aspects that we bring to the workplace. And it just felt better. Now, you still have the same issues, right? Because if a person is working, let's say a person works in the US and then they have an opportunity to work for the Hong Kong office and you send them over there, there's some things that you need to know before you show up in Hong Kong and you think work is the same as the US. And so that gave me an opportunity to work with people who don't normally look like me, who may be in a setting with where they've now become the minority and they're in somebody else's country, and now they have to understand the rules and regulations and how to adapt to that environment. And I like doing that work. So I don't know if I answered your question,
Yes.
but it's a lot. I mean, I think DEI, since the pandemic, has changed, but the issues are still the same. You know, representation matters, belonging matters. Nobody wants to go spend all day working for a company that they don't see themselves in. They don't see themselves on the walls, they don't see themselves in the policies, they don't see themselves in the procedures. And that's a hard thing for minority or marginalized people to have to do.
I agree. And yes, you did answer my question.
Okay.
Um, just to add on to that, do you believe that there's a certain percentage of people that want to be expats or want to work overseas mainly because they are trying to not only vacation, but kind of trying to find their tribe?
Yes, and I think a lot of people, especially after the pandemic, were, you know, once the pandemic happened, a lot of people saw things differently, right? So now you have the opportunity to be at home. You have the opportunity to have a little bit more freedom and flexibility as far as
Yeah,
your work. And so it gave people the opportunity to see that I don't have to be in this box, right? And I can still get my work done and I can be over here. So for a lot of people, they were able to travel to places and plug in, do their job, and keep moving. And so it gave them a different perspective. I think there are a lot of people who want to have international jobs because, you know, let me go back. So for the traditional expat, that was the person who, let's say, worked at a Fortune 500 company, and that company sent them to, let's say, Hong Kong, right? And with that comes, you know, you're gonna move my whole household, you're gonna move me, you're gonna move my family, and you're gonna set me up. And I'm going to be successful because if I'm successful in this position, then that creates success for other people who come after me, right? So now you have this company who is accepting you in, and they train you, and it's like being a diplomat because you have all the things. You might have a driver, you might have paid housing, and so your check is your check. You may still have responsibilities back in the States where you're paying for, but essentially you have a posh life, right?
right.
And so I tell people that's living on a country, not in it. You're not living in it until you immerse yourself and you start having conversations with the locals, eating with the locals, having relationships with the locals. Now you're living in the country. And so for a lot of diplomats, foreign service people, military, they live on the country and they have a different set of ways that they live, right? Then you have what I consider self-initiated expats, be like myself on this tour. So when I moved to Mexico, I moved on my own dime. I paid for my own shipping. I paid for my own vehicle. I paid for my own house, right? That's my money. And so it's essentially like living in the US. I just happen to move to a different country. And as a self-initiated expat, I'm initiating everything myself. I have to learn the culture on my own. I don't have a company that's representing me. If something happens and goes left, I'm responsible. So I'm responsible for all the things. Then you have these people who are like digital nomads, and they're not necessarily living in a place. They'll go for 90 days, 180 days, and oftentimes that's based on the extent of the visa. If they can go into a country and they have a 90-day visa, they can stay 90 days. After that 90 days, they need to move. Um, and so you have all these people who are moving for different reasons. And then there's all these other subtitles and how people identify. But when you think about the expat now who has a different opportunity where you can be a self-initiated expat, you can be a digital nomad, you can be, a traveler who's just traveling for said, 6, 7, 8 days, and you set up shop, you still work, you have the same responsibilities, you can go home. All these different people are having different experiences. And so I think now there are a lot of people who are taking those opportunities and finding ways so that they can have different lives or lifestyles. People aren't just traveling anymore.
Right.
And so it opens it up for a lot of people. And I think people should start thinking outside of the box. You mentioned dual citizenship earlier. It's a great opportunity for you to have dual citizenship. That's a little bit harder to obtain, or you can have a dual residency, right? So I am a resident of Mexico up until 2025. I've been in Mexico since 2021. And that's just basically doing the paperwork. I'm legal. I can stay here. I don't work here. I make my money outside the country, but I live in the country. So that's feasible for a lot of people. And it's just really about how do you want to make that happen? And so back to your question, yes, I do see this as an opportunity for a lot of people to become expats, to see the world, to immerse themselves in cultures that are different and still make money and live the life that they want to live.
Okay. And are you fluent in Spanish, being that you're in Mexico?
I am not. Um, so I took some classes. So I took classes as, like everybody else when they was in high school or junior high, whatever. And then I lost all that. And then once I moved here, I took some classes. And so I'm functional and and because I got a lot going on. And I just haven't sat down to like just totally immerse myself where I'm fluent. My son probably is better than I am. So yes, I'm not.
So, family, let's begin with your son. Is he homeschooled or does he go to a local school?
So he's 4. But at
Okay.
3, I did enroll him in a school because in Mexico you can start attending school at 3. And with that, they teach you, all the things that you need to know to be like in kindergarten, because I think there's like 3 steps to kindergarten. But this year, after last year, we started traveling more. So I think we went to 6 different countries this year. And I took him out of school because I was traveling so much, and I had to be back and forth to the US.
Okay, back and forth to the US, still sticking with family. That's not a big thing for you. And I'm speaking on immediate family, mother, father. So you just kind of visit with them once you're back in the US, or whatever family, that's how you keep in touch, or is it just not a big deal?
I think when you live abroad, the great part now is that you have video chat and
Yeah.
you can keep in contact with your family. And so I only used to go home like once a year anyway, so really wasn't a big deal. But I have contracts in the US, so I'm often doing shows or conferences and things like that where I have to travel back and forth. And so with that, I try to take stops. If I'm in the DC area, that's where his father is. Then I try to stop in, allow him to see his father, um, interact with my friends, because that's where we moved to Mexico from. But this year I was able to go back to Nebraska for a couple months. Um, and then, last year I went back for a couple weeks. And so I stay a little bit longer than I would normally. Normally, if I lived in the US, I would go home for a couple days and then I would be like, okay, I'm done. But I think now that I live abroad, when I do come back, I try to stay a little bit longer because I have more freedom and flexibility to do so.
Okay. Where do you see your forever home?
Ooh, that's interesting because that's where I'm at. Like, okay, I spent most of this year being a nomad, not necessarily by choice. It just kind of happened that way. I came back to the US in January and then stayed for a couple months, went back to Mexico, then came back, and then I went to like Portugal, Colombia, went to Aruba, DR. So we went to all these different places and I was trying to find like what's next. And I, I don't know. So I honestly, if I had to just be like, okay, let me pick a spot now, it would be Portugal.
Okay.
I love Portugal. I felt at home in Portugal. The food was good, the people were nice. And so it would probably be Portugal.
Okay. So that's your forever home. As far as vacation, as far as just like, I guess, beauty or just what's your favorite place?
Oh, that's hard. Because I went to Colombia this year, and if I were single with no child, I would live in Colombia
Cali?
because I Cali Cartagena.
Okay.
I would I would live in Cartagena because the food is good, it's fresh, you get seafood, it's hella cheap. It's hustle and bustle, and there's art and culture, and the people are friendly. I love it. Like I would live there because the food.
I was about to ask. That was my next question was favorite food. And your favorite place is probably where your favorite food is located.
Yeah, it was amazing.
um, I went to Cali and the food was really good. I took some really good photography there. I had some really good pictures come out of there. Um, so it was an amazing place to see. So what's in your future as far as not only your career, but as far as how many stamps are you looking to get?
I'm not one of those people who are trying to get stamps. I've always known that I would travel. I always wanted to see the world. Um, I'm seeing the world. I've, I tell people all the time, if I die tomorrow, I'm good because
Wow.
I've done the things I wanted to do. I'm not lacking anything. I'm like, oh, I need to go do. I don't need to go do nothing, right? Um, if I have 50 stamps, great. If I get to 100, great. But I'm not. That's not what I'm seeking to do. I do know that, because I've been to the Great Wall. I've seen that. I've been to the pyramids in Mexico, so I've seen a couple wonders of the world, and okay, I do still want. I haven't been to Spain, um, so I would still like to go to Spain and Italy and Greece, and so like more of Europe. I've been to the places maybe Turks and Caicos in the Caribbean. I haven't been there.
Okay.
um, India. So there's a few more countries that I absolutely would like to go to, but I don't need to go anywhere. I kind of like after this year of just traveling so much, like always being on a plane, that gets real old real quickly. So
Right.
I think taking a little time and just being in one place and just really immersing myself in that, that's kind of what I really want to do right now.
Okay. Okay. So where can people find you as far as your socials and website?
Yeah, so I have my personal website where I do all my coaching is chajones.com. That's CHAJONES.com. Then I have my podcast and podcast website, which also has a blog, and that's lifesavacay.com. So you can go to Spotify and all the places, Apple and all that to listen to the podcast, or you can go directly to my website and listen directly on the site.
Okay.
Um, and I have a new book that is being released on uh, January 23rd, depending on when this drops. And it's called Reclaiming Myself. It's a 12-week guided journal for moms prioritizing themselves. And I really wrote that because, again, this year, or excuse me, last year, since we're now in 2024, 2023 was amazing, but exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
And I really had to find time to do me because I was so entrenched in being a mom and doing all these other things that I had to be like, okay, if I don't take care of me, then I can't take care of my son. I can't be all things to everybody other than myself. So you can find that on Amazon. And then I'm on Facebook as author Cha Jones, also Cha Jones, and then Instagram is Cha Jones, TikTok is Cha Jones 05. And yeah,
Okay. Um, so your Instagram, are you showing your travels and everything through your Instagram?
I do for the most part.
Okay.
I show a lot of food and I do show different places I go on Instagram.
Good, good. That's a good follow. That'll be a good follow. I'm gonna make sure to check it out. And anyone who listening, make sure you check it out. Chai, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Anyone who had any questions about being an expat, about the lifestyle, not only that, anyone who had any question about manifestation, you actually showed. I'm really beginning to love my own podcast because I'm talking to people who really manifest what they want in their lives. And you are one of those people. And I'm glad to have you on the show for that reason.
Thank you, Rashad. It was a pleasure. I'm glad that you had me on the show and anytime.
All right. Thanks a lot. Wonderful travels and much success to everything you do from here on out.
Thank you. Same to you.
Bye bye now.